the stats. 22 points to 6 says the scoreboard as we start this second half. And Paul Whelan's little words of wisdom and truth last week has fired his teammates up. Here we go then. Mosi Masoi takes about 3 with him and makes 3 or 4 meters after the tackle was attempted.
And that's good impact as well. And I'm sure that Nathan Brown would have said, look, we got off to a flyer in that first stanza, let's do it again. And you know, get the big forwards going like that. Quick play the ball. And I must say that the urgency that St. Helens have done in that play the ball area has given this man, James Roby, there he is, just offloading, plenty of opportunities.
Nice kick into open space by Wilkin. The chase is on. Griggs gets to it first, though. He's faced by a wall of white jerseys. Turns it inside to Aaron Murphy.
And good work by Jordan Turner there. Even though the kick was on that left-hand side, you see that Turner, the centre, had gone in on the angle just to close them down, make sure that the Giants didn't get good meters forward.
Griggs just trundled it forward 4 or 5 meters before he is tackled by Anthony Walker. Little half break.
Oh, he's got good feet, him. Just talk about Danny Brough. I know we're into the early throes of this second half, but Danny Brough really got stuck into the referee, Richard Silverwood. We'll see a mistake from Huddersfield. Look at the forehead, look at the brow, look at the disappointment and frustration etched all over his face. That's a bad sign for the Giants fans and faithful.
Well, he's under no pressure. There was no one within cooey of him, and Chan really had a chance and the option to have trapped it with his foot. Took the other option and came up with the error.
Yeah, Danny Brough obviously thought he could expect better from the Papua New Guinea international, Jason Chan. Watching 2 coaches of the year in charge of their teams here tonight, of course. Paul Anderson, the reigning coach of the year, and Nathan Brown, coach of the year when he was at Huddersfield in 2009. And Paul Anderson in the job for the first time last year, led the Giants to the top of the table for the first time ever. And he had 6 years as an assistant, learning his trade, and he's making a great fist of being a first-team coach. Still very much in the mix for the playoffs for Old Trafford on October the 11th this year. That's the night of the big one, the grand final. Who will be there this season? Saints would love to be. Leroy Cudjoe, not Leroy Cudjoe, it is the man on the other side wearing number 3, Jordan Turner. Here is Walsh. Walsh dabs the ball over the top. Oh, it's easy for Wilkin. Well, they were standing around and holding a ball meeting, those Huddersfield defenders. He's got to be happier tonight. Eamon McManus, the chairman, has led a couple of broadsides at his team from the programme notes this year, but this is too easy, and that was a poor mistake. It's led to the try.
Yeah, Chan really should have dropped him with his foot. And I'm sure you said that Nathan Brown will be happy. I know one bloke that won't be, and that's Paul Anderson. That was very poor defending. But throughout this game, the kicking game from the Saints has been far superior. The anticipation, he knew exactly where to go. But to see 3 Giants stood around and allow John Wilkin to score with ease is not a happy thing for a coach.
I'll tell you who's happy, Steve-O. Mosi Masoi. He had some huge charges in that first half. He's put 3 or 4 together there. And I'm going to stand up. Whatever position I have in the PFU, the Prop Forward Union, I'm going to stand up for Mosi Masoi. He's running hard, and he's a big thing to get down, and Huddersfield are having all kinds of trouble doing that.
Yeah, he's playing probably his best game since he has been here, the big man. Walsh adds the extras That was not the start that Paul Anderson and Huddersfield wanted. 28-6.
Well, I think what makes good teams great is a ruthless streak, and St Helens have just demonstrated that in the opening 5 minutes of the second half. They had the game, obviously they had a lead, but they now have a real control on the match. By scoring first in the second half, it kills any enthusiasm, and all of a sudden, the St Helens supporters have found the voice that we used to hear in the first 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season when the team were playing so well. Here's a contested restart. Can they get it to it in time? Yes, they can!
Yes, they can with Cudjoe.
And it's a
found its way outside. That's a wonderful try. That is a wonderful try from Huddersfield. And it's young Ben Blackmore who has marked his return to the side, his first appearance of the season. His first appearance for about 12 months, actually. And he's got over the line, and that was wonderful kick-off from Danny Brough. It caused all sorts of problems for Saints.
Well, they just went to sleep, didn't they? Whose is it? No one really called. And what a good finish. You take your opportunities. Roby tried to get to it. Roby was facing the wrong way. Really, Lance O'Hire should have been the man screaming for it. Take nothing away for the Giants. It was a tremendous kickoff from Danny Brough. Well, is that the little light at the end of the tunnel?
But it's just the response they wanted with Ben Blackmore and that try. 2 tries for him on his debut last July against Castleford, from whence he came. And here now is Danny to try and have the extras. Gets underneath it though, he scuffs it. Misses with the kick. But that will encourage them, 28-10.
It's amazing. When a team scores a try, they sometimes bask in the glory, switch off for a few seconds, and that is exactly what the St Helens players did.
Steve Lance O'Hire, who's played fullback at international level. That's the second time he's failed to complete his assignment. He'll be frustrated with himself letting that ball bounce. But we'll see the reaction and the response to Saints.
Oh, well, he tried something different, did Walsh, but it just didn't quite come off. He got over the 10-metre mark, which was the most important thing, and he nearly got there, but Huddersfield were alert. Now then, they'll need to score again. Huddersfield, the tails will be up. That's a knock-on. That will be ruled as a knock-on. It bounced off the Saints man. So you're right, Steve-O, you know, you score tries. David Fayuma with the mistake this time. You score tries, then you come up with the errors.
We're even seeing the 2 different tactics kicking-wise from the kickoffs. Danny Brough puts it as high as he can. And you see Luke Walsh there just dribbles it along the ground.
Well, you really suffer when you come up with handling errors like that. And that's the second we've seen from Jason Chan. And big problems just when you thought maybe they were getting back into the swing of things. Oh, and that's a knock-on. Or is it? Yeah, knock-on.
I think that was ripped. Brett Ferris.
And Paul Ballons agrees. Well, he would.
Well, you watch Brett Ferris with his hands all over that. There you go.
Yep.
Well, he can't have eyes in the back of his head, but he could rely on a bit of help from his touch judge.
Well, he got help from the touch judge who said knock on.
Did he? Did. And not much help then, was he?
Not at all.
Well, you don't want to sack him, dude.
No, but if that was the help.
I know. It's frustrating for the fans and also for the players. But
mind you, they're big lenses on our cameras. We can see things crystal clear. You know, long way away from the incident. Let's not be too critical of the officials. He did enough damage last night.
Well, the neutral viewer for this game, what needs to see a Huddersfield try next year, but they're not at the moment because they just can't control possession. Partly because of some great aggression. St Helens are hitting and hurting, and that's forcing the ball free.
And that was a typical example of Larne Patrick taking his eye off the ball, and that should be a penalty.
There's another knock on here. This is a penalty this time.
Yeah.
Well, come home, Sean McRae. This is a knock-on-a-thon.
Well, again, we see the big fella, Osim Asoi. He's putting himself about. To say, he's getting back into that wonderful fitness and form that we saw in the World Cup last year.
You know,
too many errors.
This is very impressive here from St Helens when you consider that there's no Kyler Moore, no Alex Walmsley, Anthony LaFranchi isn't playing. 3 of the starting props you'd have thought at the start of the season aren't even out there, and yet the young players, Walker, Greenwood, Richards, Thompson, and obviously Massimo Soy, who's getting all our mentions really, are doing particularly well here. Look, 3 green lights for the main stats that matter in rugby league, and they've got complete control.
Well, you're an international and you should be performing like that, and he's leading the way. That's a great kick.
It is, because that's going to stand in goal. Whoosh!
Nearly close.
My word. Murphy nearly came up with a huge error.
You know, St. Helens' kicking game has been so superior.
And that's not a kick for a try, Steve-O. That's a kick to build some pressure. Put it in the in-goal area, make the Giants three-quarter line sweat a little bit. Aaron Murphy under all kinds of pressure, and it's that man again. He was the guest on Saturday, and I watched a couple of the games, and his intellect and knowledge of what's going on in rugby league is first class.
Yes, it was a pleasure to have him sat next to me.
And I don't think the St. Helens club should and will let him go. He needs to impart some of that knowledge, some of that wisdom onto the younger players coming through at the club.
I don't think Steve-O's quite impressed with that last remark. I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying it was a delight to have living legends of the game with us, as opposed to old legends of the game.
Well, it's going to be difficult.
I'm not stopping you now, Barry. Don't be giving me all those sort of looks.
It's going to be difficult for the Giants to keep this rampant St. Helens out now. And you just get the feeling that the likes of Luke Walsh taking control out there. He's had a fantastic game, this guy.
Penalty for offside against the Huddersfield defenders. They've got to put their foot on the line.
Well, at 28-10, and you can see there that not one of them had gone back. Cudjoe was nearly dropping into dummy half in the St. Helens camp.
Soliola.
Be nice to see the big fella, wouldn't it? Mossy Masoi. Have a rampage right to the line. It'd be difficult to stop.
Well, there's a knock on. By whom? By Huddersfield, I think.
Yeah, he put an arm round. It's got to be head and feet. St. Helens, more pressure.
Having said that, John Wilkin, when he stood up then, he had Luke Robinson's face being ground into the mud. Well, we've had a try, but for 11.5 minutes it's been scrappy, hasn't it?
Need some class here now, don't we? Luke Walsh. I'm looking for Gary Wheeler and possibly the other St. Helens players.
Well, from a neutral point of view, let's have 2 Huddersfield tries, but that's a little bit of a forlorn hope at the minute. Soliola gets the ball away.
Come on, Mossy. Line up for one.
Soliola again. Oof. Head went back then. Was that a clash of heads?
Here he comes, Mossy.
There he is. There's the try. And the referee has a look and points to the spot, and Huddersfield, the players are furious because they believe there was an obstruction in the build-up to that try, or something.
An obstruction by the referee, I think, was the claim, and probably they'd have a case there, but he's dismissed that.
Well, probably dismiss it because he can't just disappear out of the way. He has to be somewhere, and there's nothing in the law that accounts for that. So I think that's where their complaints are coming from.
It's foolish by Huddersfield to think that that's going to answer the questions. You're right. Mark that down as a missed tackle for Richard Silva. His technique was disgraceful. He almost jumped out of the way, Steve-O.
I think I would too. Look at the size of this giant. Bang! Is that a fine game?
Yes, he's capped his best display for St. Helens with a try. But it was obstruction by the ref. Huddersfield just couldn't get to anywhere near him. Walsh has added the extras. 34-10.
Yeah, it's going a little bit embarrassing now, isn't it, for the Giants? Well, isn't it great to see him back in the top form? This is how to run onto the football. Never mind the referee, get out of the way. You can understand why the Giants were complaining.
Well, Makinson fielded the more orthodox kick-off, leads ahead at Headingley against Hull, 12-0. A lot of people tipping that was going to be a real runaway win for the Rhinos, but 12-0 into the second half here. 34-10 to St Helens. Ball lost and picked up by Ukumatai. And a penalty to Huddersfield. Well, I know Saints have scored 2 tries, but the game's hardly started in the second half, has it?
Yeah, stop-start affair, but I suppose when you go in at half-time 22-6, it's pretty difficult. And remember, as soon as John Wilkins scored that early try, putting 28-6, very difficult to get back in the swing of things.
Brough stabs the kick through. They're all after this, and they're going to get it in Brett Ferris. Brett Ferris touches down, does he? Referee has a look both ways and gives the try. Brett Ferris with the try for Huddersfield. Well, it's you score, we score. We score, you score.
Well, the thing is that Huddersfield at least have reverted back to the kicking game that's needed. They just completely took it away, didn't they? James Roby. Neat kick. That's what they should have been doing a lot more in the first half. And well done, Brett Ferris. It's a set move, set pattern. Beautiful. Took it well.
I wonder whether that could be a sea change now. And Danny Brough, who's too intelligent, as we see the conversion successful. I wonder whether Danny Brough makes a mental note and thinks to himself, hard, low, and make it difficult to handle.
2 tries apiece at the start of this second half. Ken Davey, the Huddersfield Giants owner, hoping against hope that the comeback is on the way.
Well, whether they come back or not, Eddie, we're going to find out just how impressive the competitive spirit is here. Danny Brough puts the kick through, and Brett Ferris does really well, doesn't he, to pick that up and ground it. They've got nothing to lose here now. They can play as hard and fast as they possibly can. I guess they've got to take some risks, and there aren't many teams better at taking risks with players like Danny Brough.
No, you can expect a little bit different. Maybe the dribble through or the chip over the top. They've got to test their arm, but the message will be going out from Nathan Brown, the Saints coach, say, come on, let's tighten up this defence. Don't think that it's an easy ride from here on in.
And Steve-O, they can lose the reputation. The Huddersfield Giants players are behind on the scoreboard. Whether they win this game or not, you can lose your reputation if you're a player. You suffer the accusation of turning it up just because the game's gone. You put the cue in the rack and decided it wasn't worth it.
So if Wardle could have just slipped that pass, Scott Griggs was away. Ferris, dummy half. Here is Brough. Now Crabtree.
Sorry, Eddie, it was good support by Griggs as well. You know, he's launching himself as a fullback. Griggs gets that short ball.
Now Brough, this is the last tackle. He's running it. Gives it to Ferris. Quick hands to Wardle forward. Too quick the hands, too quick.
Yeah, but at least they were having a snap at it.
He's got a face on him, hasn't he, Danny?
Just. Wardle was just in front.
Touchline call, Stuart.
It was a very, very close call. Referee in line with it. So you've got to think that he's probably right on that one.
LMS is out there. Plays the ball to Roby. And here comes Joe Greenwood.
Messing around. Can't afford to do that.
Spinning him on the ground.
And they made it quite clear to the officials all throughout this season. You know, when the tackle's completed, let him get up and play the ball. Didn't do that.
So 22 minutes remaining, 34-16 the score.
And you know, I often think that what happens in the final quarter completely distorts what's happened for the previous 60. You know, whoever scores the points in the final will change the perception, might not change the result here. But if St Helens go on to score a couple more tries, we'll think that they're absolutely hammered Huddersfield. You'll forget that at 60 minutes, there's a 34-16 scoreline here. Which team can close it out and be the strongest in the final 20?
Well, there's 3 hunting John Wilkin. They eventually get him down. That's 3 tackles gone, 12 metres from the line. Down that left-hand side with O'Hire, drop of the shoulder from O'Hire. He's collared round the neck by Leroy Cudjoe. But it was perfectly legal. It was the collar of the jersey. And here is Flanagan. Oh, Flanagan gets a ball away. The ball is dropped backwards to Makinson. It's 6 to go for Saints. There was a Huddersfield hand in there.
It leaves the link. Trying to get the link across.
Here goes Anthony Walker.
Walsh is screaming for it. Will he get first received? Or will he take the big prop first? No, they've gone blindside.
He's gone on his own as Roby. He's stopped dead in his tracks by the considerable frame of Earl Crabtree. There's Joe Greenwood. Here is Walsh. He's got it now. They've loaded down the left-hand side with O'Hire. O'Hire then gets it to Gary Wheeler. Leroy Cudjoe halted him. O'Hire at dummy half. Back it comes to John Wilkin. Wilkin then gives it to Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook. And there's 4. Roby goes back that way. Wilkin trying to slide the kick in. That was played at. This is going to be 6 to go. Another 6 coming at this Huddersfield defence from less than 10 metres out.
Well, he looks happy, does Nathan Brown, and so he should be.
And he'll be expecting them to score from this.
Yeah, they've been applying the pressure. 3 sets of 6 on the trot. It normally brings about points.
And Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook plays the ball to Roby. Here is Wilkin. Back it goes to Walsh. Oh!
It should have produced points.
Off the knees and hands of Anthony Walker. And the chance is going begging.
And he knew it as well. It was a good setup. Short pass, just couldn't get to it.
Well, the young forward's done everything right except catch the ball. When he goes back and watches that, he'll know he's thrown away a certain try. He's worked hard in this game. We keep talking about Greenwood, Walker, Richards, Luke Thompson gaining valuable experience, crossing swords with some of the best forwards running round in Super League. Chan and Ferris and Lamb Patrick, the back 3 on shore for the Giants, are as good as anything around in the game on their day.
Yeah, but they've been outflanked by the opposition's forwards, which had rather surprised me. And it's given the opportunity to Luke Walsh. He's had a superb game as well. He's directed traffic out there.
That was a decent run from Crabtree. The ball was behind him in the pass. This is Sean Lunt. Sean Lunt is grabbed by Greenwood. Finished off by Wilkin. Robinson goes down centre field. Here comes the last tackle for the Huddersfield Giants.
Will be a chip over the top. They've got to try something.
Kopjak played the ball and Brough put boot to ball, and Wellens clutches it out of the air.
He's like a magnet, isn't he? Paul Wellens, so many years. As soon as the ball gets up in the air, he just seems to be attracted to it.
Well, it's 6 years since the Saints last won a trophy, the 2008 Challenge Cup. It's 8 years since they last walked out at Old Trafford, or at least their last grand final win. Sean Long captained them to a victory at Old Trafford against Hull.
What's the chase like here? And it is good, as it has been all night.
They've had a great 20 minutes, haven't they, where they've controlled the game, they've scored the tries. They've had so much of it in the opposite's territory, down near Huddersfield's try line, and I think that was the reason why John Wilkin senses there's a chance here to break the hearts and souls of the Huddersfield Giants here. They can just continue down here at this end of the field. Kicked early, look at that defence. You know, they said it's been a few years since they've got to the grand final and won it. They need the young players having valuable game time at present. Greenwood, Walker, Richards out there on the field here, being strong, competitive in the final stages of a game. This can only do them good if they want to get back to Old Trafford this year.
There's a decent run from Blackmore. Here now is Robinson, short ball from him. Oh, and Lon Patrick couldn't hang on. He flings it forward accidentally, but 0 is the call from Richard Silverwood.
Over the advantage, so they'll play on, which is good work by the official.
Makinson. The tries have suddenly dried up for Tommy Makinson. 14. Just one ahead of Ryan Hall, depending what Hall has done at Headingley tonight. Wilkin. pirouetted and tried to go around Ukumatai, couldn't. Roby, O'Hire, off the outside of the boot.
That's all that's needed.
He's happy enough, Griggs, to let that go over the line.
Yeah, and that's all it needs, as Phil had mentioned. Saints in the second half, they've controlled everything, keep them turning around.
Just fascinated about Huddersfield, Eddie. We saw Paul Anderson in the stands. He said before the game that they'd won the last 5 in Super League, which is true. But with respect to 4 of those teams, I think they'd only played against one really good side in the top half of the table, Castleford Tigers, who they managed to beat by a point. But from what we've seen, the other 4 wins came against sides in the bottom half of the table, not in great form. And from what we've seen tonight here, I think Paul Anderson's got a massive job here, halfway through 2014, to turn around the Giants, to get them back to doing what they did so successfully last year, when they had Brett Ferris in sensational form out wide on the left, enjoying so much of the play. He's had the ball tonight, but maybe a year on, teams are starting to learn what Brett Ferris is good at, and somehow managing to contain him.
It is play on. There was a couple of mistakes from both sides there.
Yeah.
And it's a 0 tackle, what's more, that Crabtree goes down under. You talk about the Huddersfield challenge that lies ahead for Paul Anderson. Next up is Thursday, and it is Huddersfield against Wigan.
Well, that was an impossible pass there from Brett Ferris. I know they're chasing the scoreboard, but that really wasn't on. You could see that Joe Wardle had overrun it, and he really should have kept hold of it.
In wet conditions, when you're passing a ball that close to the line, you really are putting pressure on the receiver. And a pass far behind the line, Huddersfield have a big job next Thursday against Wigan. Whether they get anything from this game or not, they'll have to learn some lessons.
And we back that up with Warrington Leeds next Friday. This time next week we'll be at that big one, 7:30.
Mouth-watering those.
They are. Let's hope the weather's kinder than it is tonight, because this ball is pretty slippy. This pitch is thick and lush. It really is. It's
good hands, wasn't it, from Richards there to pick that up and make ground.
There's a knock on by Flanagan.
And it's another pass close to the line. If you can pass the ball to a player who hasn't got as much pressure, he won't be as apprehensive. Good defence from Huddersfield. Joe Wardle low, Earl Crabtree right round the ball, and I'm really pleased to see Mark Flanagan back on the pitch. It's only his 6th game of 2014.
14-0 Leeds Rhinos over Hull. Ball's dropped again, hacked forward. Here's Wheeler, and Wheeler's after his second now. I think he might have got it. Snaked a hand out, but he's been hurt in the attempt to score that try. And was it being pulled back anyway?
The ball bounced as well, Eddie, when it's gone, bounced up with the impact of the fingers. We'll soon find out. The video ref.
Yes, Phil Bentham is the video referee. The operator is Ian Smith.
And a few things to look at here. First of all, is that knocked on or is it stolen? The knock on by Leroy Cudjoe, by Tay. Then it will be a free play anyway. So whatever the outcome, if it's a no try, it will come back to a scrum to St Helens. I think you see him pull on the hand there, so that should be carrying on from that position. That would be classed as a loose carry. It should be play on from there. See the player's on side who's chasing. Does he get the ball down? Is he pulled back?
Well, he appears to get a finger to the ball, but I think it bounces, so it's a knock on. But was he impeded? Was it Danny Brough that pulls him back? Now you can utilize the shoulder, but you can't pull back a man like that.
Danny Brough's only ever looking at Gary Wheeler, so not looking at the ball.
Is a possible penalty try if it's not a try, Stuart?
Well, that's something they can consider, a penalty try in that situation. Would he have scored the try had he not been pulled back by Danny Brough? But has he scored it anyway?
No.
Of course, yeah. Is that not close enough?
Well, there's a huge gap there, Phil. There it is.
I don't think there's any downward pressure on the ball at that point.
Well, I'd give a penalty try. There's no doubt in my mind that Danny Brough has pulled him back, and he would have scored easy.
I don't think he's got that, but the best news for the St Helens fans is Gary Wheeler is back up.
Well, that's the best news for Gary Wheeler. Here's the decision.
Decision is a penalty try for Paul
penalty try. Second try, though, it goes down to Gary Wheeler's name. Danny Brough was pulling at the shoulder. Had he not done that, the feeling of the officials is that Wheeler would have scored anyway. So he gets the try, Gary Wheeler, and he's crowned his comeback with 2.
And again, the error pops up. Nanto Hyatt as well, gets boot to ball, and he was alert. And the officials have got it absolutely spot on. The penalty try had to be given. Danny Brough made no attempt for the ball, he just went for the man. And that'll be recorded as a try for Gary Wheeler. Number 2 tonight.
Well, what about the courage in defence from St Helens? John Wilkin put his body on the line. Put his body in front of Akumatai, who's another big man. And Gary Wheeler back in the Saints side. 4 turned into 6. And as we say, he stayed down. The best part of that try was he's got back up and he's ready to play on.
Well, you know, Gary has never played more than 14 games in any year. He has had such bad luck with injury, and every time he goes down, your heart's in your mouth. But 2 tries tonight for Gary Wheeler on his return, and just looking at the stat here, he's missed the last 4 games.
I think everyone would agree, though, he does have the ability. I mean, I remember back in the early 80s, Peter Reid was a football player who suffered a series of injuries, but eventually came good, and then had a 10-year period where he wasn't. And there are players in Australia at the moment who are probably going to play at the higher level now. Some of them get to 24, 25, having had knee reconstructions, shoulder surgery, but then forced away into State of Origin and international level rugby league. And I think Gary Wheeler has the potential to play at the highest level over here if he can string those games together. He's still got 10 years ahead of his career if he can just stay out there on the field.
Yeah, he's at that age you've just been talking about, 24.
But this will be a real lift for him as well, Eddie, you know, to score 2 tries. It's all a positive for the man. Well, Paul Wellens, he doubted the attitude last week of his fellow players, and they have responded very well indeed.
And he's led by example as well. Everything that he's done tonight has had a 100% commitment behind it. A great leader, and leadership comes in many forms, whether it's one of those Churchillian speeches before you go out, or something as damning as after the game, as same as last week, but he's led by example tonight.
Ben Blackmore just slipped at the vital moment there. It was a good fluent move from Huddersfield down the right-hand side.
And I'll tell you what, Eddie, that Ben Blackmore, he came in late into this side. He hasn't let the side down at all. He's worked very, very well indeed.
Brough is starting to get more and more impatient and more frustrated.
Good work by Jordan Turner, anticipated the kick through. And it just shows you, we look at the scoreline at 40 points to 16. That's the reason why the likes of Danny Brough are getting frustrated. Well, they've had a thrashing.
Leeds are winning at home to Hull FC, which means that St Helens won't go back to the top of the table, but they will leapfrog the Wigan Warriors. They'll be second at the end of tonight. Leeds will be still clear on top of the pile. And here is that man again, Gary Wheeler. But this time he loses the ball in collision, and Leroy Cudjoe has it. And he's got Blackmore outside him, and Blackmore here. Blackmore all the way to the line. A second try for Ben Blackmore.
And fully deserved. He's had a fine match.
Well, tries are plenty in this game. And this the latest to Huddersfield.
Well, I think you'll find that Gary Wheeler tries to offload here when he really didn't have to bother. Takes a step, he looks to offload. It wasn't the best one, was it? Cudjoe did well, and this is a good finish. Good stuff. Game's gone. It's all mere consolation. But he'll remember that for a long time.
Yeah, 2 tries on his debut against Castleford. 2 tries here tonight for his first appearance of 2014 for Ben Blackmore. Can Brough add the extras? He can. So the scoreline has a little respectability about it now. But the conference is being led by Paul Wellens. He doesn't want them to relax their grip on this match. He knows give this Giants team a sniff.
I think Paul Wellens is furious, isn't he? And rightly so, because that's sloppy play. I've just said how highly I think Gary Wheeler can play this game. But it was a needless and senseless offload, really, inside his own half. Almost too high risk. There was no benefit to come from it. And all that happened was that Huddersfield scored. And habits like that do tend to stick with players in games. I know it means nothing in the context for this match, but it could in a big game in the near future.
Well, I think that's the message that Paul Wellens was getting across, not just to the rest of his team, but to the youngster Gary Wheeler, saying we didn't need that, we were in control. And that's maybe a little bit more professionalism has to come into this St. Helens side. Well, they've certainly shown it for most of this game. Was that an attempted trip there by Luke Walsh, or was he just trying to get the boot out of the way?
Well, they get a penalty here, Huddersfield. They could have had one in the last tackle as well, because Crabtree had a man all over him as he got up to try and play the ball, and there was more messing around from St. Helens. So the penalty coming from Richard Silverwood's whistle. And here's Kopczak now, and he gets them over halfway on the first tackle. Lunt and Robinson.
They've been good in patches, Eddie, as Huddersfield, but they haven't been consistent. And the battle in the forwards, which I thought that they would take control, I'm afraid they've lost it. And that's play on. He'll go all the way, surely. He's got the speed, Luke Walsh.
Yes, he has. He's got Aaron Murphy after him. I bet they go and have a look at the way this ball comes out, though. I bet they'll have a look at this.
Of course he will. How did the ball come free?
Well, I think there was contact with the head, but of course, Scott Griggs, I think it was slipping, wasn't he? And what's the responsibility here, Stuart, of the tackler? Well, he wasn't slipping, actually, was he, at all?
Any contact with the head should be, penalised. Certainly at that height, at that speed.
They can't give this try, surely. All right, he hit the ball first, but finished up in the
Slipping Griggs there to be.
Yeah, but he's got a duty of care, though, Barry.
And he finished it up in the face, so this should be turned down. And even all the St. Helens players, they're coming back, they know it.
No try, penalty for the high tackle.
So Walsh's try is chalked off. And come all the way back into the St. Helens half for the penalty for that.
As I said before, he made impact on the ball, but it's where you finished that counts.
Barry can't believe a penalty was given for that.
I've no problem with a penalty. I think it probably was. It was under the laws and regulations. It was around the head. My mitigation was the slip and the fact that it was a winger.
No wonder you didn't get much success when you went to the disciplinary with an argument like that.
I was always guilty, Eddie. I had no defence.
Well, neither did Tommy Makinson on that occasion. Here's Lunt again now, looking to get to the line again. Sean Lunt. Tell you what, the score here, we will have a bit of a finish, won't we?
Still plenty on the clock, isn't there? Nervous times.
Robinson to Big Earl.
That look forward. He went far too early, did Crabtree. Got away with it. Lunt, dummy, on his own.
He's getting frustrated, Earl Crabtree too. Brough gets it away. Good hit. That's a better hit from Makinson. Roger plays the ball. Here's Brough, slides the kick in again. And the ball's come free. The ball is loose. It's all over the shop now.
That's a try. He's lost it and he's claiming the try. Boy, this is going to be interesting. Well, Greenwood had an opportunity.
They're looking for a number of things, Stuart, by the sound of it.
Checking onside and how the ball come out, as Richard Silverwood says. So they look as if they're all onside from that kick, I think. Very close on that angle, but I would think that usually set plays, the players tend to be behind. I think we'll probably get the green light on this one. Both very close. It's I think it's Scott Grigson they're looking at. Billy Earl Crabtree's behind the ball. Decision on Scott Griggs. Moving on. St Helens in possession. How does this ball come out of here? Stolen. Well, I think it's stolen there. You can see that quite clearly. The ball's pulled out. I think this should go with a penalty to St Helens for a ball steal.
Ball steal, which Crabtree doesn't agree with.
Well, it's quite clear on the replay that it was stolen, was reefed away. A neat little chip through. I'm sure that Danny Brough will be saying to himself, he wished he'd had the opportunity to kick a few of those in the first half when it was needed, and they failed to do that. So it's a little bit late in the game. 40 points to 22. Now this will be safety first, or should be. Sure that Nathan Brown, the Saints coach, would have said, okay lads, let's just wrap it up, show our professionalism, how we can keep hold of the ball, get the kick and chase, and he'll be happy.
Big Mossy. Oh, what a pass off the deck, and he wipes the tackle count down again. Richard Silverwood. There was a Huddersfield hand flicking out at that ball, so 6 to go. Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook.
Mossy wants another run.
Roby has one. And 0 again. The tackle count again wiped down. Another Huddersfield hand on that ball as it went out. Here's Wheeler. Wheeler gets it away to Dawson. And now it's Joe Greenwood. Roby. Roby in centre field. Finds Walsh. Walsh then to Mark Flanagan. Four tackles gone. Roby comes down the short side with Walsh, who stabs the kick in behind the defence.
Brilliant kick and brilliant chase. That's professionalism for you, and it's coming spades from the half-back Luke Walsh.
Well, I'm not sure Jordan Turner knew that kick was coming in. And a couple of moments ago he was limping in the back play, but as soon as that ball went on the end of Luke Walsh's toe, he reacted there. You see, looks like he picked up a knock a couple of minutes ago.
Goal line dropout then. We've got 3 minutes remaining. 40-22. I don't think the result is in any doubt whatsoever.
That is for sure. What a game this guy's had.
Not sure, yes, he's had his finest game.
Yeah.
20 points to 6. Leeds have won. They're clear top. Saints are second. Wigan are third.
Boy, you wouldn't bet against Mossy Masoi getting his second of the night. The crowd will go, they'll go bananas if he does.
He's winding up again for a run, but they've missed him out this time. Ohio looked for Soliola and then decided against it, so took the tackle himself.
The big fella's on the left-hand side.
He wanted it. He wanted it, and the ball has gone back all the way to Jordan Turner. This is the last tackle coming up for St Helens. And they're going Mossy's way this time. Drop goal from Luke Walsh.
Thank you very much. Thank you, linesman. Thank you, ball boys. That's it. Wrapped it up. He's had a fine game. He's a fine player.
Well, he showed that he could do it in the Challenge Cup when they really needed it in the 80th minute. We're not quite in the 80th minute and the score isn't as tight. But it's going to confirm 2 more points on the league table for St Helens, and I think cheer up 1 or 2 of the supporters as well.
41-22. They've been quite quiet actually about all these rumours surrounding Luke Walsh, haven't they, and his apparent homesickness. It does take time for people to settle in here. I know it, Steve, it took you long enough. You've been here for 23 years. You still get a little bit homesick from time to time.
Depends which plane I'm on. It's as simple as that. But yeah, listen, I did inquire to an official at the club earlier today about the rumours, and he quashed those. He said that it has been difficult for Luke Walsh to settle in, but he reckons that everything is a-okay, and they will not be going back to Australia.
Well, that's good news. That's good news. Always like to quash the rumours, don't we, if we can?
Well, we normally start them, so we may as well quash one for a while.
Steve, I've got a quick question. You know, the sickness, the homesickness that you sometimes suffer, does it rub off on other people? Do other people get sick of you?
I think you know the answer to that one, Baz.
I do, yes.
Ohio just dumps the ball into touch, and St Helens have won this match. It was a wonderful start to the first half. It was a wonderful start to the second half. And, well, Eamon McManus said, don't panic, but just let's respond with a bit more urgency. And that's what they've done.
And I think they've got the next game up, Salford. So on this ground here, the Dolphins are back to winning ways and staying in the top 4 places where they want to be when they get to September.
Yes, they're second now in the table. They dropped down to third last night, courtesy of Wigan's victory at Salford. They leapfrogged their closest rivals. Wigan, of course, have still got the game in hand. Leeds cleared at the top, courtesy of their win tonight against Hull FC. Smiles all round. Such a difference from last Sunday when it was frustration all round for St Helens. But these two, I think, will tangle again before the end of the season when the chips really are down. In a wet old night here in St Helens. Paul Wellens was the most vociferous critic last week. It'll be interesting to see what his view is about this victory here tonight, and I'm sure that Rod Studd will be catching up with him. In fact, there's confirmation. He's waiting to talk to us right after we hear from the man of the match, who's had his best game since arriving at St Helens, Mossy Massoy, with Rod.
Mossy, well done. That's a big win for St Helens, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was good to bounce back from last week's performance. It's pretty embarrassing, like our captain said, for last week against Warrington. So we were pretty soft in the middle last week, and we needed to tighten it up and work hard.
You're missing a lot of your forwards, so a lot of responsibility on you to put in a big performance. Did you feel that you had to put in a big game yourself?
Yeah, I knew that I had it in the bag, but I knew it because the young guys in our team, they can come off the bench and perform just as well. So yeah, all the credit to all the young boys in our team, Tomo, and all the young fellas in our side. Yeah, they held it together for us.
We know you missed the start of the season with an injury. Do you feel you're getting into your best form now for Saints?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just one step, yeah, towards our form, but still got to learn a lot. Just, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well played tonight. Thanks for talking to us. Let's bring the captain in that you spoke to about a moment or two ago, Mossy. Paul, we know you had some strong words after the Warrington game. Just give us a clue at what was said between you and the players and the coaching staff and everyone in the week building up to this game against Huddersfield.
You know, I don't want to give too much away. I think it's important when we've had discussions like we've had this week, it does stay pretty much behind doors. But you know, the few home truths get told, and you have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you coming up with the goods? And you know, I think today was a marked improvement on last week, certainly. Are we where we want to be? No, not by a long shot, but the effort and the attitude was there tonight, which is important. The
start was evident that things had been said and there was a change in attitude, the way you roared into a big lead early on. Is that fair to say? Yeah, it is. I think from our point of view, it's about building on it as well. We don't want to be a team that produces it one week and then not the next. So we've got a huge game at home to solve for next week, and the attitude and the effort needs to be similar. And if we can tidy up in a few areas, maybe we can have a better performance. Leeds have won tonight. That means you're still second, but you're breathing down their neck. So despite all the things that have happened and all things that have gone wrong, Saints are still in a very good position in the table. Yes, certainly, and I think that's important. But in terms of where we want to go and what we want to achieve at the end of the year, it's very much focused on performance at the moment. I think if we do that, the league table will take care of itself. Thanks for talking to us, Liverpool. Much appreciated.